Words are life. Words are seeds. Long before you become something in reality, you must first become it in your language. What you say consistently begins to form a belief, and that belief starts to shape action. Many people want success, greatness, influence, but their mouth still speaks defeat, fear, smallness. You cannot rise above the confession of your own tongue. If your tongue is still describing your limitations, you will keep living within those limitations. You must begin to speak as if you already are what you desire to be. The reason most people remain stuck is because they keep repeating the identity of their past. They keep reinforcing the same old story of failure, of lack of being unworthy. But destiny does not respond to your history. It responds to your vision and your declaration. What you consistently say about yourself becomes a program for your subconscious mind, and that program becomes your daily behavior, and that behavior becomes your future. So if your speech does not match your dreams will shrink to match your speech. You must train your tongue to speak with royalty, even if you are still surrounded by ruins. A king does not speak as a slave. A visionary does not speak like a victim. The people who change their world have a certain tone in their language. They call things that are not as though they were. They speak life into dry situations. They confess abundance even when their pockets are empty, not because they are lying, but because they understand the power of calling forth their true identity. Your words create atmosphere, and that atmosphere attracts either progress or stagnation. The greatest battle is not external, it is between your ears and between your lips. Your mind must be renewed by different words, different declarations. If you keep repeating weakness, your spirit will lose its strength. But if you keep declaring courage, even when you feel afraid, courage will start to rise in you. Some people wait until they feel confident to speak confidence, but it does not work that way. You speak it before you feel it, and eventually your feelings catch up with your words. That is how transformation begins. Speak health even if the doctors gave a bad report. Speak purpose even if your life feels confused right now. Speak wealth mentality even if you were born in poverty. Speak wisdom even if others called you foolish. Speak leadership even if no one is following you yet. Speak favor even if doors have been shut in your face. Keep declaring that you are becoming who you were created to be, because every declaration is watering the seed of your destiny. The seed will grow if you keep speaking life over it. When you speak with conviction, the atmosphere starts to bend in your favor. Opportunities begin to appear that were hidden before. People start to treat you according to your confession because you teach others how to treat you by how you speak about yourself. Your language of faith will attract the people who are aligned with your purpose, and it will repel the ones who only want you to stay small. Your words are like a magnet. Some people will say it is just positive thinking, but it is more than positive thinking. It is prophetic declaration. You are prophesying your own future with your words. A lion speaks like a lion even if it's still young. A warrior speaks like a warrior even before stepping into the battlefield. Your speech is your announcement to the world about who you truly are. So change the script of your mouth. Get up every morning and speak life over yourself. Declare your identity, your purpose, your greatness repeatedly. Do not wait for someone else to confirm you. Confirm yourself with your own words. Speak it in the mirror. Speak it during the day. Speak it until it feels natural. Speak it until your fears no longer recognize you. Speak it until doubt becomes confused. Speak it until your habits align. Speak it until your life begins to reflect your confession. Speak it until you become it. What you consistently speak becomes the script of your destiny. Most people do not realize the invisible law operating in their everyday language. Every sentence you repeat about yourself is a seed. That seed goes into the soil of your subconscious mind, and with time it grows into your habits, your decisions, and finally your outcome. If someone constantly speaks about fear, rejection, poverty, and limitation, that becomes their normal pattern of thinking. Their thoughts then reinforce their words in a cycle, and they end up living in the very reality they spoke about for so long. This is not a mystical superstition. It is a principle built into human psychology and spiritual law. Words are vehicles. They carry thoughts and ideas into the realm of manifestation. A person who repeats, "I cannot," eventually loses the ability to try. A person who repeats, "I always fail," slowly loses the will to succeed. Over time, the speech becomes a prison that locks the individual inside of their own confession. The power of life and death is in the tongue, and whether someone is aware of it or not, The tongue is writing the next chapter of their story. A destiny is not only shaped by external opportunities, it is shaped by internal declarations. Opportunity can come, but if the internal script still says, I am unworthy, that opportunity will be missed or sabotaged. Many lives are limited not by external conditions, but by internal dialogue spoken aloud daily. When those words constantly reinforce weakness, doubt, or lack, the person's mind develops a self-image that matches those words. That self-image controls everything they attempt, accept, or reject. The spoken word programs the internal belief system. Belief system produces behavior. Behavior determines performance. Performance produces results. Results shape life. This chain reaction always begins with spoken words. That is why someone can come from a poor background, yet keep declaring wealth and vision, and eventually break through. Their speech begins to override the limits of their environment. They are writing a new script, a new story. Just like a movie script determines scenes and actions, your speech writes your life script. If the lines in the script are negative, the scenes in life will also reflect that negativity. Some people complain about their life constantly, not realizing that they are rehearsing the very storyline they'll continue living. If they keep rehearsing defeat, they will keep performing defeat. But if someone keeps rehearsing purpose, greatness, and possibility, their life eventually aligns to that rehearsal. Professional athletes often speak words of victory and see themselves winning before the game even begins. It is not arrogance, it is programming. You do not become a champion on the field until you become a champion in your words. You do not become a leader on the outside until you speak like a leader on the inside. The script changes before the scene changes. When you understand this, you become very careful about casual words. You stop saying, I am broke, even if you have no money. You stop saying, I am always unlucky, even if things have not worked out yet. Because you realize that repeated speech is not casual, it is prophetic. Every repetition is like pressing save on a document that will later be printed into reality. If you want a different destiny, write a different script. Write it with your words first. Your destiny is not just what you do, it's also what you say. Your words create a spiritual and mental climate around you. People are drawn to atmosphere. Opportunities are drawn to atmosphere. If someone walks into a room with language filled with optimism, confidence, and direction, that the atmosphere affects others and creates trust. But if someone speaks defeat, insecurity, and self-pity, even their skills may be ignored because the atmosphere repels favor. So speaking consistently becomes not only a personal matter, but a daily environment you carry. Speak life and you begin to live life. Speak love and you begin to experience healthier relationships. Speak growth and your mind stays open to new learning. Speak purpose and you begin to attract purposeful people. Every time you repeat a declaration, it sinks deeper into your subconscious and becomes more real inside. Over time, it becomes so real in your inner world that it must manifest in the outer world. What you consistently speak becomes your personal script. That script becomes your destiny. Speak your future identity, not your past limitations. Many individuals spend their life describing who they used to be or what they have gone through. They keep giving language to their trauma, their failures, their mistakes, and all the labels people placed on them. But as long as they keep speaking those old identities, they remain tied to them emotionally and spiritually. The past keeps replaying itself, not just in memory, but in their speech. The mouth becomes a prisoner of history, and therefore the future gets suffocated. The more someone says, I have always been this way, the more they guarantee that they will stay that way. The future is not attracted to old labels, it is attracted to new declarations. Your speech must begin to represent who you are becoming, not who you used to be. When you consistently speak according to your future identity, you invite transformation. You start telling yourself and the world that you are no longer defined by what happened. You are defined by what you are becoming. When your language changes from victim to visionary, from failure to achiever, from sinner to righteous, from lost to purposeful, then a new identity begins to form on the inside. That identity will begin to transform your behavior, your habits, your thinking patterns, and ultimately the direction of your life. Language is not only communication, it is transformation. When someone begins to declare themselves free, healed, wise, was strong, even if their past was full of bondage, sickness, confusion, and weakness, they are pulling themselves forward into that reality. The past has no power except the power we keep giving it through speech. Even your friends and family may still call you what you were, but you must not. You must develop a new confession that is aligned with the potential inside you. When you speak differently, you begin to think differently. Thought follows speech. You may not feel it at first, but as you keep speaking your future identity, your mind begins to adapt. You begin to see new possibilities because your words create new mental pictures. The world outside begins to respond differently because people are drawn to the confidence of someone who speaks with a clear sense of identity. Opportunities open that were once hidden, not because the world changed, but because your language changed your perception and your level of faith. People can tell when someone speaks from their past pain versus someone who speaks from their future vision. One voice carries defeat, the other carries authority. The tongue is a steering wheel that guides life either toward destiny or toward destruction. If the wheel is turned toward the past, life keeps circling around old patterns. But if the wheel is turned toward a new identity, life starts moving forward. That is why it is dangerous to keep confessing labels like, I am an addict, I am a loser, I am unlucky, or I am not good enough. Those are not just statements, they are agreements. And when you agree with those labels, you empower them to remain. But when you begin saying, I am disciplined, I am blessed, I am a leader, I am chosen, even if still in transformation, you are breaking agreement with your past limitations. You are creating new agreements with your destiny. That power of agreement through speech begins to manifest in your decisions. You begin to act like your words. If you speak the identity of discipline long enough, you will start making disciplined choices. If you speak success long enough, you will start taking successful actions. Identity drives behavior. Behavior drives success. So the secret is to keep the identity confession going long enough until it becomes your new normal. The reason this principle works is because your voice is the most influential voice in your life. Others may encourage you, but if you still speak your old limits, their encouragement cannot override your own confession. Your own voice is the loudest to your subconscious mind. It hears every word and takes it as instruction. When you speak your future identity, you are giving instructions to your inner self about how to behave and what to expect. Over time, that inner self starts aligning outwardly. Even your body responds. Confidence changes posture. Faith changes tone. Vision changes facial expression. All of that starts from the words you keep telling yourself. That is why you must discipline the mouth to refuse repeating the past. Cancel those old phrases and declare new ones. Every time the past tries to speak through you, replace it with a declaration of where you are going. Speak forgiveness instead of shame. Speak strength instead of weakness. Speak clarity instead of confusion. Speak abundance instead of lack. Eventually that becomes your identity and your reality. Your words create atmosphere and attract alignment with your purpose. Atmosphere is not just physical, it's spiritual and psychological. Every time you open your mouth, you are releasing a vibration into the environment around you, and that vibration either attracts the right people, resources, and opportunities or repels them. Some people wonder why nothing shifts in their life, even though they work hard and have talent. The reason is that their atmosphere is toxic because their language is toxic. They speak complaints, gossip, negativity, and fear, and that creates a heavy atmosphere. Even if an opportunity knocks, it hesitates because the atmosphere is not welcoming. But if someone begins to fill the air with encouraging words, faith-filled declarations, and vision, that atmosphere becomes magnetic. People feel inspired around them, and opportunities feel at home in that environment. Leaders are not just people with position. They are people who carry a certain atmosphere created by their words. Their voice lifts others, motivates them, and creates a space where solutions can emerge. Every home, every workplace, and every relationship has an atmosphere shaped by words. If parents keep speaking harsh words to their children, the atmosphere becomes one of fear and insecurity. But if they speak belief, affirmation, and guidance, the atmosphere becomes one where potential can flourish. In business environments, a leader who speaks possibility and appreciation builds a culture where employees want to give their best. But a leader who speaks criticism and doubt creates an atmosphere of anxiety, and productivity drops. This is why it's important to guard your mouth, not just for your sake, but because you are shaping the climate wherever you go. When your words align with your purpose, the atmosphere supports your dreams. When your words align with your fears, the atmosphere suffocates your dreams. The atmosphere you create also draws certain types of people. If your words are aligned with vision and consistency, you will attract people who are also moving forward and believe in growth. If your words are filled with excuses and complaining, you will attract people who live in that same mindset. Birds of a feather flock together, and language is one of the feathers. Listen to how wealthy or wise people speak. They use words of solutions, progress, discipline. Their speech repels laziness. Listen to how broke or bitter people speak. They use words of blame, anger, jealousy. Their speech repels favor. If you want to change the type of people and opportunities around you, change the atmosphere you carry in your mouth. Speak what aligns with your purpose consistently. Even if you don't yet see the breakthrough, speak as if the environment is already ready for it. Eventually, the environment will adjust to accommodate your expectation. Words also have the power to unlock creativity. When your language is full of possibility, your mind starts searching for answers and innovative ideas. But when your language is full of limitation, your mind shuts down creative channels. You may see only obstacles because you keep saying there is no way, and therefore your mind does not look for one. But if you keep saying there must be a way, and you speak it out loud, your mind begins to open up to strategic thinking. That brings alignment with purpose because creativity is part of fulfilling your destiny. Even spiritually, when someone keeps declaring purpose, they begin to walk in divine alignment and open doors appear that were previously hidden. Words are like a key that either opens those doors or keeps them locked. Think of your life as a garden and your words as the climate. If the atmosphere is nurturing, seeds grow. But if the atmosphere is harsh and cold, everything struggles to survive. Your purpose is the seed, and your language is the weather. Speak life, and you are providing sunlight and rain. Speak doubt, and you are providing frost and drought. You cannot plant a purpose in the soil of your heart and then curse it with your mouth and expect it to grow. It is your responsibility to create the kind of climate where your own dream can live. Every day you wake up, you have a choice to either release a positive or negative atmosphere. Speak words that align with your mission, your calling, your highest self. Eventually, that atmosphere becomes so strong that even negative people cannot stay around you for too long because the climate will not support their negativity. They will either change to match your language or they will leave. Either way, your atmosphere remains aligned with your future. Declaration precedes transformation. You speak it before you feel it. Transformation never begins with emotion or situation. It begins with a word. Most people wait for a feeling before they start speaking what they desire. They want to feel confident before saying they are confident. They want to feel strong before declaring strength. But true change works the other way around. The word spoken consistently leads to the feeling, and then the transformation follows. The spoken word is the trigger that sets everything in motion. If someone keeps waiting for their emotions to change before they speak differently, they will remain stuck. Emotions often follow after decisions, and decisions are often led by declarations. You speak and declare your new state, even if every cell in your body still feels the old state. Over time, the body and mind begin to adjust to the new language. Your speech becomes a leader, and your feelings become followers. This is why affirmations and proclamations are powerful. They may sound simple, but they carry the force of transformation when spoken consistently. You do not become disciplined by feeling disciplined. You become disciplined by speaking discipline until it shapes your habits. A person who declares financial wisdom, even while still struggling with money, will slowly begin to make wiser choices. A person who declares peace, even while surrounded by stress, will start to develop habits that reduce chaos and invite peace. The declaration is like the first brick of a new building. It is the foundation. The building may take time, but without the first brick, nothing can begin. You cannot wait for everything to feel right to start declaring your future. This is why many visions die before they even start. Because people are waiting for the right mood, the right motivation. But the power of speech does not require perfect mood, it requires consistency. A seed does not wait for the perfect weather to be planted. It is planted, and then the weather adapts over time. In the same way, your declaration is planted even before the circumstances are ideal. When you speak repeatedly, you begin to hear yourself differently. That is how internal identity shifts. You may not believe it the first few times you say, "I am courageous," but keep declaring it, and eventually your mind starts to accept it as truth. Once the mind accepts it, the feelings start aligning. Then the decisions and actions begin reflecting it. After some time, people around you also start noticing the change. and your environment responds accordingly. But it all began with a declaration that seemed strange or uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is a sign that you are shifting from one state of being to another. The discomfort means the old identity is being challenged. Most people retreat when they feel that discomfort, thinking it is a sign it isn't working. But that discomfort is not failure, it's the beginning of change. You speak it until the discomfort is gone, until the new declaration feels normal. That is the moment transformation is taking root. Another reason declaration must come first is because the Spirit operates by faith, not by sight. Faith speaks what it expects before seeing any evidence. The words of faith draw in the evidence later. You declare healing before any symptom improves, because your words are aligning with the power of healing. You declare victory even before the battle begins, because you understand that outcomes are not determined only by effort, but by confession as well. Successful people throughout history have used this principle, whether they realized it or not. Many great leaders would speak vision long before others could see it. Their declaration created momentum. Nations have been built by leaders who declared greatness even when their land was struggling. Companies have been built by founders who declared changing ideas before anyone believed in them. That pattern shows that speech is a creative force. When someone repeatedly says they are changing, they create an inner momentum that leads to change. It may start small, one new habit, one new decision, but over time it becomes a transformation. Every time you speak that declaration, it is like adding another drop of water to a vessel. Eventually the vessel becomes filled. Those repeated declarations accumulate power. They may even feel mechanical at times, but consistency builds power. You are conditioning your inner being. Just like a muscle grows by repeated exercise, transformation grows by repeated declaration. The outward transformation might be slow, but internally something powerful is happening. In the unseen realm of thoughts and beliefs, a shift is taking place. You speak it before you feel it, because feelings are slow to catch up, but words move fast. Words create a path that feelings begin to follow, and eventually transformation becomes visible. Repeated confession reshapes your mindset and behavior into who you are becoming. The mind is like clay that becomes molded over time by repeated patterns of thought and speech. When a person continues to confess the same statements over and over, whether positive or negative, the mind gradually forms itself around those words. That becomes the dominant mindset. That dominant mindset becomes the driving force behind actions and habits. If someone keeps confessing that they are unworthy or not smart enough, their mind develops a pattern that filters life through that lens. They subconsciously avoid opportunities that require confidence. They behave in a way that confirms their confession, even if they have potential. But when a person begins to repeat confessions of worth, capability, excellence, and destiny, the mind adjusts to those declarations. The old limiting patterns begin to break and new empowering beliefs take root. That shift may not happen instantly, but consistent confession eventually rewires the thought life. Confession is not just speaking once. Confession is repetition. Each repetition deepens the groove in the mind. Just as water can carve through rock over time, repeated words carve through resistance and doubt. The power is in the repetition. Rarely does someone confess something once and experience full transformation. It must be spoken repeatedly until it becomes automatic. At first, it may feel unnatural or even uncomfortable to speak powerful words about yourself if you have been conditioned to think small. But the purpose of confession is to override that conditioning. Each time you declare what you want to become, a layer of old thinking falls off. Persistence in confession builds a new mental stronghold, this time a stronghold of courage, faith, and clarity. Eventually, your speech becomes the outward overflow of a renewed mind. Behavior starts to change when the mind has been reshaped. For example, if someone repeatedly says, "I am disciplined and focused," they begin to see themselves as that type of person. Gradually, their choices start to reflect that identity. They start waking up earlier, planning their day, resisting distractions, not because anyone forced them, but because their internal belief has changed. Repeated confession builds identity, and identity drives action. In the same way, someone who keeps saying, "I am a person of influence," starts to carry themselves differently, speak with more authority, and invest in personal growth. Eventually, others begin to respond to them as a person of influence. So confession sets off a chain reaction. It builds identity. Identity produces behavior. Behavior produces results. And those results reinforce the new identity in a positive cycle. Confession also removes the internal excuses that keep a person stagnant. When someone keeps saying, I am capable, the mind becomes less receptive to excuses like, I can't do it or it's too hard. The confession replaces excuse language with solution language. Instead of saying, I don't know how, the new mindset says, I will learn how. That subtle shift in language leads to problem-solving behavior rather than avoidance. Repeated confession trains the brain to look for ways to act in alignment with the spoken words. Over time, the gap between who you used to be and who you are becoming gets smaller because the confession is consistently pushing you forward. Another powerful effect of repeated confession is the ability to overcome cycles that have been in your family or environment for years. Many people come from backgrounds where certain mindsets dominated poverty, fear, inferiority. Those mindsets can feel like a strong wall. But repeated confession of a new identity is like hammering at that wall every day. It starts to crack and fall. Eventually, you walk into a new level that others before you never reached, not because you were more talented, but because you confessed something different and your mindset and behavior aligned with it. Confession becomes a weapon against generational limitations. It builds a new mental legacy that you can pass on to others. Children who hear positive declarations in a household will grow up with a stronger mindset than those who constantly hear negative confessions. So your repeated confession does not only change you, it changes the atmosphere for those around you, especially those who look up to you. The power of confession lies in consistency. It is not a one-time motivational statement. It is a lifestyle of speaking who you are becoming. Day after day, in private and in public, your words reinforce the path you are walking. Even if circumstances contradict your declaration temporarily, you keep confessing until circumstances bow to your new reality. That is how champions are built. They do not wait for proof before they confess. They confess, and then the proof shows up. Every time you confess the person you are becoming, you are practicing becoming that person. Eventually, it no longer feels like something outside of you. It feels like who you truly are,